Hi, and welcome to Kimmel'sIrishPub.com. For this episode, or this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the fantasy football headlines for today. It just passed midnight again, so it is August 5th. So this is the most recent news from August 5th. And what I'm going to do is going to highlight some of the things. I'm going to start with running back information. There's a lot of different things on here that I could talk about, but I'm going to start with running back. So the first thing on here is Bilal Powell. Sorry if I said that wrong. Leaves practice early. And it's kind of interesting because also in this update is a little bit about Matt Forte remains sidelined. So they're both with the Jets. Matt Forte was great for a while, and now it seems like Powell's going to take over the starting running back in New York for the Jets. It's a running back situation I plan on avoiding unless it's really late and there's nothing else to draft. I think that's going to be a little bit of a running back by committee. I don't think either running backs are going to put up a lot of points. There might be opportunity to start them against certain matchups. But again, it's not something I'm targeting. If it falls to me at the right point in the draft, maybe I'll take one of them. Powell obviously being the favorite of the two, because I think he's going to get more touches throughout the season, barring any health issues. So there's an update there for the Jets running back. Jeremy Hill to be the Week 1 starter, it says here in the headlines here. So I think that's interesting. I think in the 8-4 update that I gave, we talked about Joe Mixon possibly getting 20 to 25 carries in Week 1. So there's contradicting news coming out there. So and they still have Giovanni Bernard there. So there's three talented running backs in Cincinnati. Whoever does become the starter and the three-down back could be very valuable. But I do think that at least throughout the beginning of the season, especially in preseason, we're going to get a lot of mixed information on who's going to get the most carries there. I think ultimately Mixon is going to be the guy, but when will that happen? And how early of a draft pick do you have to use to get him? A keeper league, obviously, which I'm involved in, 3 different keeper leagues, he's a lot more valuable. But in other leagues, redraft leagues, Hill might be more valuable in the early part of the season, and Bernard's probably going to get a lot of third down action as well to take from the two of them. So that'll be interesting there to continue to watch. Moving on to Tennessee, so Derrick Henry set for a big 2017. So they obviously have Murray there, DeMarco Murray, who has been awesome. He was awesome last year, one of the top running backs in the league. And probably slid down the draft board last year because Derrick Henry was drafted by the Titans. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Again, it's hard to take Murray off the field, but when you have somebody like Henry, who evidently is doing very well in camp, they have to get him involved. So barring an injury, I think it's going to be Murray as much as possible, but you never know what's going to happen there. I think he's probably one of the best handcuffs. So if you do draft Murray, you got to get Henry as soon as possible, because in the leagues I'm in, somebody's going to try and steal your handcuff from you. So you want to make sure you lock that up as soon as possible. Let's see, is there any other running back stuff here? I think that's big that's it. Leonard Fournette listed as the co-starter. So that's interesting there. He was the first round draft pick, and in the first one they have Chris Ivory there and Yeldon as listed as all 3 co-starters there. And I think when you spend an early draft pick on somebody like Fournette, you're going to end up playing him. I think they're just trying to make sure that he earns it. We'll see how that continues to play out, but he's supposed to be something special for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they've also talked about making sure they really focus on the run this year to protect Bortles, to make sure that they can win some games behind him. So, one other piece of running back news is the head coach Pagano for the Indianapolis Colts praises Marlon Mack. So they got Frank Gore there. Mack is their rookie for this year. A lot of talk about him taking over the starting role. I don't see it again. I think it's possible down the road, but I think coming out of the gate, it'll be Frank Gore. He is getting a little bit up there in age, and injuries can always happen. So again, another handcuff situation, but you don't want to jump too early on Mac, at least in my opinion. Let's see what else is here. Anything else interesting? Talked about Alshon Jeffrey is healed now. So just yesterday gave the update how he was sidelined for a little bit. Now it seems like he's healed. He is a great talent, and he should be exciting with the Eagles, but he has to stay healthy. That's the main thing. So there's a lot of risk-reward right there with Jeffrey. Drafting him at the right spot, you'd have to look at your rankings, see what your roster looks like. He's tough because, again, he can blow up week in and week out as long as he's healthy. And I think the Eagles are going to have a pretty decent shot at putting up some good fantasy numbers. So he would be, high risk, high reward right there. One other piece of running back news, and then close it out for the night because there's not a lot of other news here. Looking at the Seahawks running back situation with Eddie Lacy. I was a big believer in Eddie Lacy for many years, especially with Green Bay Packers. You got to figure, the running back with Green Bay Packers is going to be very successful and put up a lot of fantasy points for you. But, he dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of weight problems throughout Green Bay. Had some good games, some okay years, but now he's with Seattle, and Pete Carroll is excited about him. But they have Thomas Rawls there, so you're never really sure what you're going to get. I think again, there's a little bit of a risk with him, but if he meets his weight goals, so in his contract he has a lot of different weight goals that he has to hit. If he continues to hit that, he's been doing P90X to try and stay in shape, and he's working hard. So if this all plays out well and he stays in shape, and they decide to make him the featured back, only using Rawls to spell him from time to time, he can be very successful with the Seattle Seahawks. But you just never know. I will probably take a break from Eddie Lacy this year. Again, if he falls to me in the right situation, I will absolutely draft him. But I'm not going to go out and target him like I have in the past. Just because I've been burned so many times by him, and I don't want to do it again. And this is probably the year that he will blow up. So, there's your fantasy news for the August 5th. If you have any opinions on it, or you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you like the analysis that I provide by reading the headlines, subscribe to my page and click the like button. All right, thanks again. Have a good night.